It doesn't change anything to me. Odds don't make fights, fighters do, and the odds have never dictated how I fight. So that's why, you know, saying that I became everything that people thought Khamzat was going to be, that I agree with that.
We need to get that title back for the normal people, man. This game to have the belt, man.
Dricus Du Plessis shut down the doubters while blasting underdog labels and boldly declaring he'll dominate Khamzat Chimaev when the cage door closes. To build on his point, DDP stated that Khamzat has never been in the octagon with him, so Khamzat doesn't know firsthand what it's like to fight DDP. He added that while Khamzat may execute everything accurately from a wrestling and grappling perspective, he doesn't do anything out of the box or unique. Everything Chimaev does has been seen before.
I mean, that's it. He hasn't been in there with me, and at the end of the day, he hasn't been on the ground with me either. And he hasn't been in the stand-up exchange with me either. The way he does things is the way that it should be done, 100%. From a wrestling grappling perspective, he does not do something that hasn't been seen before. If you look at other fighters, if you look at other guys that do what he does that good, and there's been guys that does it exactly the way he.
By contrast, Dricus claimed that what he brings to the table is different and unlike anything that's been seen before. He also added that they are not just wrestling, it is MMA. There is a big difference, one that he promises to show Khamzat come fight night.
And there's been guys that does it exactly the way he does. But I don't think there's been a lot of guys that does it the way I do it. And when it comes to peer wrestling and peer grappling, of course, Khamzat is amazing, but this is different. We've seen that. I mean, look at the Renita Ritter fight versus Bo Nickel. I always use that as an example. It is not wrestling, and it's not grappling, it's MMA. There's a big, big difference. I'll just know when it happens, and I have known that every guy that I've fought, I've seen when it happens. And it's almost, you can't really see, oh, this just happened. You feel it. You can feel it. There's some tells when you look at the body language, but there's a sense. You sense it like a predator senses its.
However, Luke Thomas stated that the odds are not in DDP's favor and that he could be finished in the first round, as Khamzat is one of the best first-round fighters in the history of the sport, especially in grappling.
You know, what happens if DDP survives the first? First of all, DDP could get finished in the first. Right? I mean, that could very well happen, right? Could go the other way around, but certainly Khamzat is, one of the best first-round fighters I've ever seen.
In response, DDP stated that those claiming Khamzat will win know nothing, because if they truly understood, they would be the world champion themselves. He added that he doesn't care about the betting odds or the doubters responsible for creating them.
These guys that say these things, no, nothing. Because then they would be a world champion. So I do not care. I am the world champion. So the fact that, I'm the underdog, I don't care. That's a gambler's problem. I'm not gambling on this one. So for me, what it means, the only thing I care about is winning this guy. I don't care if it comes out. I don't care if people think I'm going to win. If people thought, if I was a minus 400 favorite, it wouldn't mean anything to me either.
Furthermore, Dricus stated that the odds mean nothing to him because odds do not make fights. The fighters do, and they have never dictated how he fights.
Odds don't make fights, fighters do, and the odds have never dictated how I fight. So that's why, saying that I became everything that people thought Khamzat was going to be, that I agree with that. But that's because I'm built different, and I'm going to show that again come.
Weighing in, Khamzat Chimaev stated that people who claim Dricus has good cardio are the same ones saying Khamzat lacks cardio and is just high. He responded by emphasizing that he has consistently proven himself through his performances, stating that he has been, in his view, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter for a long time and has beaten top fighters on the UFC roster with ease.
We need to get that title back for the normal people, man. This game to have the belt, man.
Adding to that, Luke Thomas stated that while there is danger of an early finish, he also acknowledged scenarios where Dricus could extend the fight deep and take it to the distance. He explained that the real demarcation line will be the 3rd round.
My kind of assumption is he might lose it and maybe even lose it badly, but I do think he'll survive. And then I think he'll find ways to hang on in the 2nd and maybe certainly even the 3rd. The demarcation line for me is that 3rd round, kind of like Hendo Hua. What happens after that? Like if DDP is still around after 15 minutes, that would tell you that Khamzat's grappling was enough to win probably those rounds and not much more, right? And again, I'm imagining there's going to be a degree of damage, but if DDP is, coming off the stool for round 4, yeah.
Echoing that risk, analyst Lucas Tracy stated that he's picking Khamzat Chimaev to win. However, he added that if Khamzat does not secure the first submission, he would start to worry about Khamzat's chances of taking the victory.
Okay, like, why am I laughing? Because I just know there's going to be people in the comments saying bro made a whole video saying he was worried about Khamzat Chimaev. Hey, me saying I'm worried for someone doesn't necessarily mean they can't win. That's why I said in the video a million times, if Khamzat doesn't get the first round sub, which he might, which he's definitely capable of doing, I'm then worried. If it gets out of the first round, that Dricus du Plessis is going to finish Khamzat Chimaev. Okay? And I think that I could be wrong. Now, if Dricus wins, I'll be happy because I'm a big Dricus du Plessis fan. Like, I actually love Dricus du Plessis' style. I think he's one of the coolest champions in the game. So when I say worried, I'm just saying, like, I'm worried for Khamzat, insofar as his chance.
Moreover, Lucas emphasized that the fight will turn out to be quick and anticlimactic, but he believes the one to take the victory will be Khamzat Chimaev, with DDP being frustrated on how close it was. However, he also stated that as a champion, the division needed DDP to keep it active.
But I think Khamzat gets him out of there. And I also think Dricus as a champion might be a little bit better because he's going to be more active. But I have to go with Khamzat, and I'll tell you why. First off, my vision for the fight, I think it's going to be so dominant, it's going to be so fast that it's almost anticlimactic. You're going to see Dricus spring up to his feet because it's only going to be 3 minutes long, this fight. You're going to see him spring up to his feet and like throw something on the ground. Maybe he'll take his glove off and he'll just throw it on the ground and throw a bit of a tantrum because of how frustrated he's going to be with himself. Because the problem for Dricus in this fight is it's going to be such a flash. It's going to happen so quickly that by the time it's all said and done, he's going to feel like he did not give the best of himself. Like he didn't have an opportunity to.
Building on that, Lucas Tracy described the fight ending quickly as a speed and skill battle that will be overwhelming, confusing, and so high level that Khamzat will finish it in the blink of an eye. He added that Dricus will be disappointed for not being able to put his best foot forward.
To even really put forth a great effort, because it's just going to be a skill thing, a speed thing. It's going to be overwhelming, so confusing, so high level for him that I think it's going to be over in the blink of an eye and he's going to be pissed at himself. That's my vision for the fight. Dricus du Plessis springs up to his feet after getting submitted, throws his glove on the ground because he's going to be so disappointed in himself. And then he's going to shrug his shoulders like, fuck, dude. I wanted to come in here. I wanted to have a fight. I wanted to actually exert myself a little bit. I'm going with Khamzat first round sub. I think Khamzat takes him down. I think he subs him in the first 2 minutes. First 2 or 3 minutes. That's how Khamzat is likely going to.
Highlighting his own momentum, Dricus stated that until 2 weeks ago, he had 4 of the top 5 guys on his resume and has been riding this winning streak for a while. He explained that this is not just a quality or a feat, but a goal, as he aims to be the greatest to have ever done it. He elaborated that being at the top does not mean beating a large quantity of fighters, but rather defeating fighters of the highest quality.
Up until 2 weeks ago, I've beaten 4 of the guys in the top 5. So, yeah, I've been at that for a while. The one thing is, it's not a quality that I have, it is the goal, and it is the ultimate goal of being the greatest to ever do this. To be the greatest is not how many guys have you beat, it's not how long were you at the top. It's about who did you beat while you were there. And that's what I don't want to be the guy that held the belt for longer, but I fought a guy that was ranked number 7 because number 1 got injured and he was the only guy that's going to take the fight. I want to fight the best of the best, and that is what I've been doing. If you go look at me and Khamzat, he's 8 wins in the UFC, I'm 9.
Additionally, Luke Thomas stated that if Dricus survives and makes it to the 4th round, then Khamzat better bite down on his mouthpiece because there is no telling what Dricus will do next. He explained that in that scenario, Khamzat will need to tap into his inner strength as he was visibly tired when pushed by Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. But Dricus, Luke noted, is an entirely different animal, both spontaneous and erratic.
You know what I mean? You better bite down on the mouthpiece, because I don't know what he's going to do, but he's marching across the octagon. You can believe that. So what does he do then? Like, the fact that he kind of wilted a little bit against Gilbert and then he wilted a little bit against Usman, that was a 170er, and those were both 3-round fights, right? Mm-hmm. DDP is different. You know what I mean? So to me, there's no question he could, like, again, it goes back to Dominic Reyes and John Jones. Now, I thought John Jones did lose that fight, but what was the demarcation line in that one? It was between the 3rd and the 4th. Dominic Reyes, in my judgment, clearly, the reason why I think Reyes won is because I think he won the first 3 and then lost the last 2. But where does the momentum switch? Where does the momentum switch in Gustafsson?
Furthermore, Luke compared the boxing and striking of both fighters, stating that Khamzat is cleaner on the feet. He said Khamzat is a good jab you can stick behind, and that he has power as well. He added that Khamzat is not just a ground and pound guy, but can also hurt you badly on the feet.
Throughout this one,
I would say the cleaner of the two is definitely Khamzat. Khamzat, when he wants, has a good jab. He can stick behind it, and one of the interesting parts about Khamzat, and this is why he's such a dynamic talent, he's got power too. You go back to the Gerald Meerschaert fight, like, he's not just a ground and pound threat like a Khabib. You know, on the feet, he'll hurt you bad. He's got real power. So to me, that makes it kind of interesting. It's just, I don't really know what that's going to be like against DDP, who is probably going to try and keep it more at kickboxing range, is going to be throwing a wider variety of weapons, you would imagine, right? Spinning stuff, kicks, teeps. Maybe he's even more active in the clinch. That might be interesting to pay.
Offering a fighter's perspective, Anthony Hernandez stated that Dricus will get Khamzat as he's a tough son of a who does not gas out. He claimed that Khamzat has never fought a real middleweight, only fighters who jump divisions. He said he would like to see Khamzat go up against someone like Dricus, who is a true test and a genuine middleweight.
Middleweight title on the line between Dricus and Khamzat. How do you see it playing out?
I think Dricus is going to get him, dude. He's a tough son of a, I mean, he doesn't gas out. And then, like I've said with Kazmat, I've never seen him like fight like a legit 185. I mean, Whitaker, yeah. But like besides that, everyone else is like 155ers coming up and so I really want to see him with an actual test, you know what I mean?
If that test was you and you fought Khamzat Chimaev, how would that play out?
I think he gasses. You give me 5 rounds with him, I'll finish anybody. You know what I mean? I don't give a f. I'm here to fight whoever. I want the belt, so I'm going to fight all these sooner or later. Run it. Like, as simple as that.
Highlighting Khamzat's limitations, Lucas Tracy observed that Chimaev's explosive fighting style relies heavily on overwhelming opponents with energy. Tracy suggested that if Khamzat fought more calmly, it could backfire on him. However, he also noted that this passive approach doesn't suit Khamzat's nature.
Down to that, he's not just a great fighter. He is truly a once-in-a-lifetime kind of grappler. Now, he has some shortcomings, and that is the fact that because he has such an explosive style, because he relies on overwhelming you, it requires a tremendous amount of energy, which is why I was also worried for Khamzat, because if he approaches this fight more relaxed, I think it's going to go bad for him. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that's in Khamzat's nature. As I said, I think that, you know, going into this fight thinking that I don't know if I can submit him in the first round, let me be a little bit more composed, that's almost like a mental defeat, almost saying Dricus is too good for me to submit him in the first round. I don't see Khamzat and his team going.
Backing up that assessment, UFC fighter Arnold Allen stated that he does not see Khamzat doing anything different against Dricus because he doesn't know how. He explained that in all of Khamzat's fights that have gone the distance, he has still fought the same way.
So the jaw injury is, regardless of nothing, it doesn't mean anything. So Khamzat saying he ain't doing anything different. He's coming out, guns blazing, and going to try and take Dricus out. I don't see him doing anything different because he doesn't know how to do anything different. In all the fights that he's had that have gone the distance that I've seen, Gilbert Burns and Usman. Did he lose round 3 against Gilbert Burns? Yeah, like he fought the same way. He came out guns blazing, did everything you would expect. He came out swinging, brawling, throwing everything at it.
Building on that, Arnold stated that much like Khamzat, people doubt Dricus. Yet he always goes out there and proves people wrong. He added that while people may make fun of Dricus' style, whether his form looks odd or not, Dricus is undeniably effective.
And I thought, okay, Whittaker's going to drag him to deep waters, avoid takedowns and beat him up, but prove me wrong. Dricus is kind of the same guy in the sense that you always doubt him, and then he goes out there and improves, and impresses, and looks better than you would expect. Gets a lot of people make jokes about his style and this and the way it looks. But like, he's so good at winning. All that matters is that he's good at winning. He's very good at winning. Maybe he's not got the crispest like boxing. Maybe he's not got the cleanest wrestling. Maybe he ain't got the smoothest jiu-jitsu. But he's the best at winning, and he's very good at.
However, Luke Thomas stated that you're going to get greater variety and greater ranges from DDP, but the question is how much Khamzat has progressed and how committed he is to a calm, steady approach. Luke said that with a steady approach, Khamzat can win. But when he strays from that, it raises more questions as he may tire himself out and give DDP the edge.
Well, so you're going to get greater variety at greater ranges, I think, from DDP. But how that matches up with Khamzat, it's a question of how Khamzat, is he, how much has he progressed in that department, and how committed to a sane, steady approach is he? I think a sane, steady approach, he can win. It's when he gets off of that that I'm a little bit more.
At the same time, Luke added, he cannot afford to be overly passive, as that would allow Dricus to take over the fight. The balance, Luke suggests, is for Khamzat to pick his moments carefully, applying pressure without burning himself out or making avoidable mistakes.
Keeping your gun holstered a little bit. Not completely. That would equally be suicide. But I just think it's very, very. Listen, if the opportunity presents itself, then yeah, they will jump on it. But my sense is they know that they have to like again. So just think about it. What are the levels of fighting? Survive, defend, attack. Right. So I think they're going to be probably more focused on the first two, survive and defend. And that's the right way to do it. You don't want to be so defensive over the long haul that you end up not having the offense, and you survive, but you didn't change the tenor of the fight.
Building on that, James Lynch stated that with the momentum Khamzat is carrying and his health issues now behind him, he expects Khamzat to go in and get a finish on Dricus. However, Lynch added that if there is one fighter in the division who could surprise everyone by beating Khamzat right now, it is Dricus du Plessis. He pointed out that Dricus has repeatedly proven himself and should not be taken lightly.
Chimaev, just with what he's done in the last couple fights especially, it seems like the health issues are behind him. I think he's going to go in there and get the finish on Dricus du Plessis. And listen, du Plessis is a guy that has surprised everyone. Of all people that Chimaev's fighting, if there's one guy that could surprise and get a win again, it's Dricus du Plessis. I did not have on my bingo card him being the first fighter to submit Israel Adesanya. I did not have him finishing Rob Whittaker when they fought. I remember a lot of people are on Whittaker's side there, especially after with how he performed in the fight previous against Brad Tavares. I just don't think, like I kind of talked about in the early look, du Plessis has not fought the caliber of style and fighter that Chimaev brings. A grappling heavy, good stand-up, great submissions type fighter. He just hasn't fought a guy like that recently, and I think Chimaev poses a really interesting matchup. Now, with all.
Even though James predicted a victory for Chimaev, he does not believe the fight will be decided in the first round. He stated that du Plessis will take the fight past the first and possibly into the second round.
Chimaev's going to get like a first round finish here. I think there will be moments where he'll look good, but du Plessis will look a lot better than Robert Whittaker will. Whittaker's still a top fighter in the weight class, but I think du Plessis is far better than him. I'm leaning more towards second or even possibly third round Chimaev finish here. I do think Chimaev finishes. Now, if it goes past that third round, you have to favor DDP, and people say, oh, well, how can you say that? We haven't seen Chimaev go 5 rounds. My thing is, I'm always going to take the guy who I've seen go 5 rounds before, and that's DDP. He's done it a number of times, and he may look visibly slow, but he still ends up getting the job done. So I have to go with Dricus du Plessis in this spot, I have to favor Dricus du Plessis if the fight goes longer. I think if you want to hedge this fight, I think you go DDP decision and you go Chimaev stoppage. I think if you wanted to work the units a little bit, I think that's probably a safe bet. If Chimaev won a decision,
In the end, the clash between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev is shaping up to be a collision of conviction and raw firepower. Both men are stepping into the cage with an unshakable belief in their own victory, dismissing odds, labels, and outside noise. Drop your predictions in the comments below, and let's see who's calling it right before fight night. If you enjoyed the breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more fight previews, and hit the bell so you never miss the latest in MMA. And we shall see you in the next video with more exciting updates.